So we're talking with Alan Bell, who's a guest speaker in my class on risk and threat assessment, and the heading is contingency planning. And we've been going along looking at specific components of a contingency plan. The next thing I want to talk about is communications, because all of this relates to being able to send messages back and forth between the kidnapper and the people who's a victim, as well as among the victim and the people in the victim's company. So I wondered if you could give us some comments on the importance of effectiveness of communications during the incident, backups, who sent certain messages, what resources you need to access, and so on. Some of your thoughts.
Well, one of the things before you send a management team, obviously, someone goes out and does a threat risk vulnerability assessment.
Right.
During that threat risk vulnerability assessment, you will test communications. Does a BlackBerry work in the country you're operating? Do you need a satellite phone? All these types of things.
Right.
How often is it up and down? Some of the countries we work in, at 6 o'clock you lose all type of communications except the satellite.
Right.
So it's important that when you're working or travelling in these countries, that if there is a situation, you've got to be able to communicate out. Now what we do, we have someone back in Canada who calls on a regular schedule. Depending on where we are, they will call at least once a day, sometimes twice a day. If they don't reach us for whatever reason, they try again the next day. And if after 2 or 3 days, depending on where we are once again, if they haven't communicated with us, then they set the contingency plan in action, which is try to find out where we are, tell the government, and all these other things.
So what you're doing in a sense is describing a lost comms scenario.
Yes.
Where if you don't have any communication, then A, B, and C happen for particular reasons. The other thing is people within the individual company needing to send certain messages and being responsible. And, if you can't get a hold of the CEO, does someone know the CEO's home number? These kinds of things are important, aren't they?
One of the most important things that people forget is your communications in North America is usually well secured.
Yes.
However, if you have a fax and you send it to Guadalajara, for instance, where is that fax machine in the office in Guadalajara? Can someone come in and just pick up your fax with all your itinerary on as the CEO of your company? Right. Sometimes that happens. So you've got to be careful who you're sending information to, particularly travel details of senior people in a company.
Right, especially in countries where people share resources that are expensive, like fax machines, or when you're sending to email accounts, there's multiple people have access to that computer.
That's right.
Other parts of communications have to do with the systems that run them, like if the electrical power is out or the internet is down, also if air transport or car or train aren't functioning. What are some examples of things that you had experienced in the past when you weren't able to communicate because electrical power was down or other things like that? What kind of workarounds did you have?
Well, the only workarounds you've either got satellite phones or you've got BlackBerries. BlackBerries, funnily enough, work in an awful lot of countries around the world. I do not use my BlackBerry when I'm travelling, but I have it with me just in case as a fail-safe.
Right.
In other words, it's a backup. Because if you lose hydro and you're relying on the internet, you've got battery for a certain period of time, but it depends how the internet signal is being used. Now, we are starting to use Skype considerably now. We're using Skype all over the world. And there is a slight delay in the conversation. It's like speaking to someone in space.
Yes.
But it's the most fantastic way to communicate from miles away.
Thank you.